So I have this 2020 Model 3 Performance. It's out of warranty, so I am starting to tackle some of the repairs myself. I have 124,000 miles on this right now, and the rear passenger side window is having a hard time rolling back up. So I'm pretty sure it's the window regulator that's the problem. So I was able to order a new window regulator from Tesla just by going through the service menu, telling them that I wanted an over-the-counter window regulator for that door. This is what they sent me. It took me 3 days and it showed up in the mail. So now I'm going to try tackling this repair on my own. Definitely not a professional by any means, but Tesla has a really good service manual online for free. So I'm going to follow the directions and just documenting this because I don't really see any other resources to do it yourself online right now. So I guess I'll let you guys follow along. So from the service manual, this is the procedure I'm going to be doing, removing the window motor. This says left hand, right hand is going to be the same process. The prerequisite for this is to remove the door glass. So I'll be doing that, and then prerequisite to that is going to be to remove the door trim and the inner belt. So I'll do the door trim first and then the inner belt. All right, to get the door panel off, there's two Torx. It's a T30. One is right there and the other one is under the handle right here. In order to get that off, there's a little cover that pops off, and then the other Torx is right there. Alright, so I took those two screws out, the T30 screws, and then to get the door panel off, I already kind of popped it loose, but really you just grab the bottom and give it a good yank. There's a bunch of clips, and once all the clips are off, then the door panel just lifts off like this, and then there's some connectors. You have your speaker and your door switch and puddle light that all have to be unplugged. I need two hands to do this, so I can't film. And when you take your door panel off, I guess you have to be careful how you pull it. I accidentally ripped the connector off for the puddle light, so I'll have to figure out a way to fix that real quick, and or just leave it. I'm not sure if the puddle light is necessary for anything. But anyways, to get access to the screws, there's the screws for the window. There's two plugs right here. So we're gonna take these off, and then this way, once these plugs are off, then we should be able to look in here, and we're gonna have to operate the window until the screws for the window line up with this. And then we also have to take off this door belt. So I think this just comes off like this. That's easy. That's the whole inner door belt procedure. So we've got inner door belt, door panel. So now I'm gonna plug the door panel back in so that I can operate the window down and line up the screws. All right, I've got the door panel plugged back in. It's this black wire, a black connector right here. And then I just bumped the button a couple times until the window is rolled down enough that I can see this bolt right here and that bolt right there. So now that those are lined up, I can unplug this again and set it aside so it's out of the way. All right, so I gently removed those both those bolts, and I loosened them both, and then took them both out by hand. Working with glass, so I'm trying to be really careful, and I really didn't want to drop the screws down into the door. So those are out. Here's the window. It's kind of interesting. They use like painter's tape to hold those clips on. Makes me wonder if this window was replaced before I got the car. I am the original owner, so if that was the case, then it was broken in the factory, or maybe, you know, that might be standard practice. I don't know. So yeah, that's windows out. So now I can go ahead and pull the regulator out. All right, to get this off, the instructions say you need to remove this. That just pops off of the clip there, and then we also have to unplug the regulator. So that's just a little release tab, and then this pulls down. Okay, that's all ready to go. And then it's 13 screws around the perimeter. They look like 10 millimeter. And then the instructions specifically say do not remove these 4 screws in the center here. These will release the tension cables inside. All right, so rear panel is removed. There was a little bit of a trick. It stumped me for a bit. The instructions say to remove the 13 screws and release the 2 metal clips to pull the panel off. The 2 metal clips that it's referring to is down here on the bottom, this indent and this indent here. If you flip it over, on the inside there's 2 clips right here on the bottom. So once I kind of yanked on those, or yanked on the bottom, and after I took the screws out, everything it just popped right out. All right, so reinstallation was just the opposite of how it came out. I put 2 bolts in loose on top, and then pressed the bottom, those 2 bottom metal clips in till they popped in. It was pretty easy, and then finished putting in the rest of those 13 bolts, which I guess they ended up being 8 millimeter. I thought they were 10s. But yeah, and it's kind of nice. The new regulator that they sent is already pre-aligned for the to put the window in. I think the only thing I'm going to run into is I might have to monkey around a little bit once I get the window reinstalled to make sure everything is lined up straight, because these are pretty big holes. So I think that I'm going to have some adjusting to do on the window. So I'll get the window put in loosely, and then close the door and just take a look and see how everything's lining up before I go hog wild on reattaching the door panel. All right, so the window is reinstalled. I don't have the screws torqued down completely yet. And I was real gentle with them because it is on glass. I really don't want to break something. But the window is reinstalled. I didn't really like how the window was sitting it was like glass on metal. So I didn't want to operate it without the belt reinstalled. That was pretty easy. There's just little buttons on these little clips right here. Those line up with holes on the door, so you just line those up and they just pop back in. The inside was a little monkeying around, but I was able to get everything lined up and push back in. So now I'm going to go try to fix this connector that I tore off for the puddle light, and then I'm just going to plug the door panel in temporarily and operate the window, make sure it goes up and down smooth, and then make sure that everything is straight before I put everything back together. All right, so I loosely reattached the inside door panel, rolled the window up partway, and I'm looking at it, and you can kind of tell that it's not lined up very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the door panel off, loosen the screws, and then tilt the window so that it's so the upper part is more forward that way. Alright, so I readjusted the window forward a little bit, and I like that gap. It looks pretty straight. Looks good back here. So I'm going to go ahead and torque these down. I'm going to use an actual torque wrench because I'm tightening on glass and I really don't want to break anything. And then once I have that, then I'll fully reinstall the door panel. All right, now that everything is put back together, when I operate the window, looks like it goes all the way up. However, when it goes down, that's as far as it goes. It's supposed to be able to just go until it stalls in both directions and it would recalibrate, but it looks like it's not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to go into the service menu, or I'm going to go, service mode. So we'll hold that down and then type in service. Okay, enable service mode. So now in service mode, we have closures and windows, and we're gonna calibrate windows. So we need to unlock the gateway. So it says hold the brake and hold the right hand turn for 8 seconds. All right, so gateway is unlocked. Here. Now we're going to go into the calibrate windows, and we're going to run the window routine. See, all the windows are cycling. All right, looks like everything says calibration passed. And the rear window that I replaced is all the way in the up position. So we'll hit close, and so now I'm gonna run it. Oh, it still only goes down part way. Interesting. Oh, I guess never mind. That's normal operation. I never really paid attention to the rear windows. But it does go all the way to the up position now. And yeah, that looks good. So now I'm going to exit service mode. And let's go and double check the... Let's go double check the gap. Yeah, the gap looks pretty good. Looks all right. I'm happy with that. And still rolls down. Oh, I don't like that. Yeah, didn't like that. It rolled down and then it rolled back up. So I'm going to work on that for a minute and make sure that that is not going to keep happening, because that'll break the window or ruin the trim. So I'm gonna rerun the calibration again and just double check. Turns out that is a the reason why that happens is because the puddle light was not hooked back up. Because I tore the connector off, I was having a hard time putting it back on, so I just taped the connector off and didn't bother reattaching the puddle light. So now that I see that that's causing an issue, I'm going to have to go ahead and actually fix the puddle light. So I'll go ahead and do that and make sure the window works correctly. Alright, so here we are the next day. I was able to repair the puddle light connector that I had damaged when I was taking the panel off. So now the window rolls down, stays down, so that when I close it, it goes back up, doesn't hit the trim. I guess if you ever see that, where the window goes down and then goes right back up, a good indication what the problem is going to be is puddle light is burned out or disconnected or something wrong along those lines. So yeah, everything's back together. Window operates as intended, so we'll call this good.